All right, this is the factoring drill packet. This is part 1. We're going to be doing pages 1 through 6 and numbers 1 through 76. Okay, up here you can see in bold is the title of the section and the problem number is right here, so it matches what's right on your worksheet. So this is just distributing 3 times 6k minus 6, distribute 3 times the 6k, and we get 18k minus 18. Okay, our next one is 7b times 4b plus 3. Again, 7b times 4b first. And we get 28b squared. And 7b times a plus 3 is a plus 21b. Scroll down a little bit here. Okay, next two, 4n plus 6. Gosh, that's an easy one. 4n. Bring down your plus, and then 4 times 6 is 24. And the last one, I guess, is the most tricky. We've got 6x to the 4th times 7x to start with. So that's 42x to the 5th, because remember there's an imaginary 1 right there after the x. Bring your minus sign down, and 5 times 6 is 30. Bring down x to the 4th. Okay, now we're moving into the next section. We've got the section called Distribute the Monomial. And the main difference here is instead of 2 terms in the parentheses, we have 3 terms in the parentheses. So we've got 4 times 8x squared is 32x squared. And then 4 times minus x, minus 4x. And 4 times 3 is 12. What might be a good idea is if you paused in between each slide and did those sections if you don't already have them done before you move on. Okay, so this one over here we've got 3b times 8b. Oh, what happened here? 24b to the 3rd plus 3b squared, because we've got 3b times b, so there's one b here and another b here, so that makes 2 of them, and minus 3b. Okay, for our next section, we are factoring the common factor or monomial out of each expression. So basically the opposite of what we just did, reverse distributive property. So I'm looking at 49, 56, and 21, and what can they all divide by? Well, they can all divide by 7. Okay, they don't all have a variable, so 7 is all we can pull out. So if we pull a 7 out of 49n squared, we still have 7n squared. 56 divided by 7 would be 8, so minus 8n. And 21 divided by 7 would be a plus 3 and our closing parenthesis. Okay, this one we can factor out not only a 7 from 56 and 49, but we can factor out some n's. This one has n to the 5th, this one has n to the 4th. Remember, we have to factor out the same amount from each term, so we can only factor out 4 because this term can't give up any more than 4. Okay, so 7n to the 4th is what we're pulling out. That's our greatest common factor. And if I pull 7 out of 56, I get 8. And if I factor n to the 4th out, I have just an n left. Then we have a plus sign. And 7. And that's it, because 49 divided by 7 is 7, but n to the 4th completely gets factored out. Okay, now we're doing some double distributive. Remember, double distributive means that for a moment, we pretend the minus 9 is not here, and we just distribute x times x and x times the plus 2. And we would get x squared plus 2x. Then we distribute the minus 9 times the x and the minus 9 times the 2. And we get minus 9x minus 18. Remember, minus times a plus makes a minus. Well, we've got middle terms here of plus 2x and minus 9x, and they combine to be a minus 7x. If I have 2x's, but I want to spend 9x's, I don't have enough, so I still need 9 more x or 7 more x's. Okay. 39. Again, x times x and x times 7 would be x squared plus 7x. Then we're going to distribute the 4 and get 4x, a plus 4x and a plus 28. Here again, middle terms, have to combine them. Plus 7 plus 4 make a plus 11. Okay guys, now we're going to do the opposite of what we just did. Now we've got the quadratic and we want to go back to factored form. So we got to figure out what signs would go in here and what numbers would it take to make these numbers work. Well, first of all, we've got a plus sign here. A plus sign would mean the only way we can get a plus sign here is if these two signs were the same, either both pluses or both minuses. And this minus sign here tells me that both middle signs are minus. Then I need two numbers that multiply to 45 and add to 14. Well, there's not too many things that multiply to 45. You got 1 times 45, 3 times 15, and 5 times 9. Well, 5 times 9 is what works. And the order doesn't really matter. I could put the b minus 5 first and the b minus 9 second. Doesn't really matter. Number 47. Now I chose to do this one because you see it has a minus sign here, so it's different than our previous one. It means that my signs in the parentheses are different because the only way when I double distribute that I could end up with a minus is if those signs were different. And I need two numbers that multiply to 2 and subtract 2. Remember, there's an imaginary 1 here. So there's not too many things. There's only 2 times 1 that makes 2. And 2 minus 1 equals 1. So 2 is the larger number, and we always put the larger number with the same sign because when we double distribute, we want the minus 2x and the plus 1x to make a minus 1x. So that's how we made that choice. Okay, so our next section is there's a coefficient, but before we panic and think we're going to have to do anything the long way, we can see that 7, 14, and 21, they all divide by 7. So we can factor a 7 out. Okay, and that would leave us with x squared minus 2x minus 3. Okay, now when we do that, I'm going to look at the quadratic I have left, and the quadratic I have left factors. Okay, I have, my box has got all messed up here. Minus means my signs are different, and I've got a plus 1 and a minus 3 because those are the only things that make 3. Has to multiply to 3 and subtract to 2. I put the 3 with the minus because the 2 is minus. And here's another one over here, number 66. 6 actually factors out of all these things, which it's a good thing because 216 is a pretty big number, so I'm glad that we can factor a 6 out. So if I do that, I get 6 on the outside, then n squared minus 15n plus 36. Okay, so the 6 stays, and I see I have a plus sign here, which means these signs inside my two binomials are the same, and the minus sign is going to tell me they are both minuses. So I'll pull those out. Oh, okay. And what multiplies to 36 and adds to 15? 3 and 12. Okay, so this should get you through number 76 on the packet, and part 2 will be forthcoming on your YouTube channel. Remember, this packet is going to be due by Wednesday, and the retest is going to be Thursday. I'm going to take the higher of the 2 grades. This is a really important skill for you to know before we move on to our next lesson. So no point in moving on till you guys have a more solid understanding. Have a good night.